And if we ask the stars what they mean, what would they say back to us? Welcome! You want to go on a card journey today? Give me some of your time, and I'll give you some of your story. Well, let's see what the cards say. Hey there, card readers. Welcome to Koi Plays Tarot. My name is Koi, and I'm going to be more of your tarot guide today. This is a video from the series on my channel called Learn With Me, where we examine what every one of those 78 cards in the tarot deck mean in context. So, as a quick set of announcements, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the notification button. That way when uploads are made, you can see what the stars are trying to say to you. Also, just FYI, individual reads are back up and open, so if interested, either message or email me directly. Link is on the name. So, where are we in this fool's journey? Because again, when we talk about what goes on in the tarot deck, there's all the different elements, their meanings, every different part of that story, and also what's called the fool's journey, especially across the major arcana, where we examine what that individual person, their very many transformations and experiences throughout life. In the last set of videos, we looked at, I believe it was, yeah, of course it was, the fives, which are, in all fairness, cards of conflict, because again, not everything can be pretty. What they mean, both sideways and the reverse. The upsides to anger in many cases, and also strength, the card of Leo, and the Hermit, the card of Virgo. So what does it mean to harness the power from within, fortitude, but also finding value in relationships, and also being able to find the tools necessary to get the job done, right? These are all parts of what it takes to go through that fool's journey. From where you were to where you will become. What we see today in this round of reads is going to be the sixes: water, earth, fire, and air, each represented by their respective element in the tarot deck. The cups, pentacles, wands, and swords. I almost thought these two were mixed up. My apologies. And then the Wheel of Fortune and Justice, the card of Libra. So we're going to examine all these, what they mean in context, and hopefully not as much conflict today, and you'll see why. So sixes, this represents oftentimes the endearment of a process or what it takes to actually, go through something. And I think each of the cards accurately represent that in their own way, because they have this unique dedication to time and reason that oftentimes when they come up, it represents, wow, okay, this is what it took to get here, right? Whereas the aces were just the individual element. This is what it means to start out. 2, point A to point B. 3, the expectation of horizon, or what can be done in a group effort. 4, what do we hold on to, what's worth letting go of. 5s being cards of conflict. We get to the sixes and we see, okay, this is a meaningful investment, and we'll examine each element accordingly before we get to the majors. So with the sixes, we have the Six of Cups, Six of Pentacles, Six of Wands, and Six of Swords. Starting with the Six of Cups. Ooh, the uniqueness of a bond. That is oftentimes what we call, quote unquote, soul bond energy, if you believe in that kind of thing. It more so has to do with the notion that this is a unique relationship that can only be forged through time and experience, right? Not everybody can be your Six of Cups, right? If you're, for example, in a friend group where one of those people are interchangeable, or they're just kind of floaters or flybys, they're not your Six of Cups, right? The Six of Cups is pretty much, I can't imagine life without them. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a lover's or intimate partner relationship, but hey, it can come off as that depending on the context of the read, right? The Six of Cups is more so defined by, wow, I have friends and then I have you, right? I know for me personally, a Six of Cups could be, even though I have very few of them, my best friends, even if we haven't talked in forever, we just pick up where we left off the moment that call comes, right? It also could represent, the intimacy of a partner bond, as I was saying before. Whereas, especially in this depiction, because I like it so much, you have 4 cups on the ground. If you remember the 4 of Cups, it represents all disappointment and basically, almost animosity that's built up over time because of all those stacking disappointments. And then you have 2 people crossing cups, the 2 of Cups, with the remaining 2. Beyond all the disappointment that could be having in front of them, we still recognize what we have with each other, right? That is uniqueness of a bond. We cannot replicate it. Hey, we are where we are. It is what it is. I'm happy to have you here. Next to the Six of Pentacles, what we see in this card, and I like this representation, it's a waiter or waitress, depending on how you view the card, serving somebody at a table. It is the little investments that it takes every single day. And it's not just the arduousness of a job, but quite literally, okay, what are we doing here? Right? How can I get it right? And I think it's very interesting that it's a waitress, representing this because they have to get your order right, correct? So when you come in, you order your favorite food, your favorite item on the menu, and they have to get it exactly perfect. In this case, the Six of Pentacles, yeah, I may have my interpretation of what an investment looks like, but I'll only get there if I put in little by little every single day a coin into the piggy bank, right? It takes effort every day to get what we want from where we envision it. You cannot get there overnight. And the Six of Pentacles, whether that be a held onto investment or a new idea that sprung up, it all spells out the same answer pretty much of, yeah, it may not work out the first time, doesn't mean it can't work out at all. Remember your reason for the investment and it will come little by little. Next, Six of Wands. And I think this is, reminiscent of the movie Braveheart, if I remember. But the Six of Wands represents recognition of effort and valor, particularly in the realm of victory, right? So finally being recognized for all the efforts that you put in, what it took to get there, how long it took, and what we want to garner from the value of not simply the labor, but the purpose behind why we do what we do, right? The Six of Wands is multiple people, multiple sources, multiple everything saying, no, you did a good job. I'm proud of you. I'm surprised that you can pull this off, right? The Six of Wands, it's all that fire put together with meaning and purpose. It's other people acknowledging, and if your torch ever goes out, I'll help you. You deserve this. I value this. I value you, right? Being rewarded with all those wands to keep your fire going and recognize, yeah, life's kind of worth living when we live. Next to the Six of Swords. Moving on. The Six of Swords is always a card that's in motion. When we're talking about, the element of air, oftentimes seeing cold and direct, but the Six of Swords, hey, we did what we could here. It's time to move forward. Whether that means I'm leaving this behind or I'm moving actively forward in that journey, it represents you being in a ship, almost a good 9 times out of 10, as this depicted here, that's moving forward with cargo, right? The cargo here being a family and a kid with their kid and all the swords in the background, but we gotta move forward, we gotta move on, right? What that means in context, it could mean moving on from a relationship, depending on, the cards that are pulled with it, or it could just mean I'm actively and intentionally aiming for that next spot, right? There is no mistake when it comes to the Six of Swords. That is not a card of coincidence. It's a card of intention, right? We are moving forward. No hesitation, no regrets. Let's get to the majors. I really like these two. You'll see why in a second. So we have Justice, card of Libra, and the Wheel of Fortune. Talking first to the Wheel of Fortune, represented by number 10 of the majors in the tarot deck. The Wheel of Fortune, it ultimately represents, the law of entropy, that the only constant in the universe is change, but even more so that things come with time. This is a card all revolving around time, because no matter how long the bad luck may seem that like it's here, that it's immutable, that it cannot change, no, it does change. In some way, shape, or form, it always does. And the Wheel of Fortune, hey, if you could stick it out long enough, if you could see the value in it, if we could try to get it right one more time, maybe, just maybe, it can prove itself and what it's worth, right? That Wheel of Fortune is not easy because it's so time oriented. And trust me, The reason why it gets so difficult for us as humans, us as people, to conceptualize time from the star standpoint is that the stars have seen entire civilizations to be created and fall. Right? Time is a concept to us, concept to them. For people, it's more of a very here and now live reality. And given the impatience of most folks, it's like, I want it here, I want it now. Why isn't it here yet? Why isn't it here yet? It oftentimes comes to you, A, when you least expect it, but B, when you've met yourself. Yes, is the fortune there? Absolutely. Is the waiting game there? Absolutely. But the third invisible factor is what we do with our lives held in the real world. It cannot happen without our own effort. The Wheel of Fortune means nothing without that person enacting time. And being that this is on the fool's journey, okay, even if you took a pit stop, I know we talked about that a while ago with the chariot in the reverse, with the video on the fours, the chariot and the lovers, if I remember correctly. It all comes with time. And so how long are you willing to endure this journey, not for the sake of punishment, but from the intention of learning something and gaining something from it? The fool was not who he first started out as when he left his hometown. He's not. And the Wheel of Fortune also showed this, the mirror to the face, honestly, of the value of everything. Now, in that card, we have basically all depictions of every element: water, earth, fire, and air. Oftentimes the majors in the corners, depending on its depiction, it represents, hey, you put all these elements together. Now let's sit down and have a talk. What do they really mean? Because you didn't go on this journey for no reason. You didn't come this far just to get this far. Next to Justice, the card of Libra. And this is an interesting one. So Justice here being the equity and balance of scales. If you notice in a lot of depictions of legality, law, at least from where I am, there's almost always a depiction of a woman blindfolded holding a sword and scales. The blindfold meaning, the kind of equity of not being able to see anyone. So in all due fairness, it applies evenly, although, that doesn't always work out depending on the context and the people trying to enact it. The sword representing the execution of that, trying to aim for what is best with, the sharpness of that point. And then the scales held in one hand. When things are weighed out, liber, from the Latin definition of how we get lbs or pounds, liber. When the scales weigh out, what does equity actually look like? Right? When we put all things on the scales, when we weigh them out, how is this fair? How is this even? And that's why oftentimes Libras, from the zodiac standpoint, get the representation of being the conflict mediator, or being able to see both sides from an execution standpoint, not being quote unquote wishy-washy. That's not the purpose of it. It's to say, okay, I may not like it, but what are you trying to get at? Because once we examine that, we can engage with it further, right? Justice, then, the pillars, as opposed to the high priestess, where there's one of obsidian and one of ivory. The justice depiction is always, they always look like more of a judge or your cultural background's version of a judicial executioner, that they get the job done, right? And that's why that representation is there. What is our aspiration towards power? How do we make it fair? How do we make it even? How do we make things just? Now, flip them all in the reverse. So we're going to go through them again. Six of Cups in the reverse. Whereas this was a unique soul bond, I can't believe that we fell out. Right? Every card has this inverse when we talk about how they fall out in the reverse. But the Six of Cups, that is somebody who at one point in life is like, we were the best of friends, and now we're not even on speaking terms. How did it come to this? And that doesn't mean that they didn't have an impact on you. Let's be very clear about this. The Six of Cups then here, not everything is meant to last, right? Somebody can have a unique and profound, impact on your life, and then you two still have a falling out because maybe that's how it was meant to be in the grand scheme of things. It's not fun. but it's also understanding that, yeah, I can still see the value in you and what the impact that you had on my life, even if you're not here anymore, even if we're not on good terms or speaking terms anymore. Sometimes it just boils out like that. Next, the Six of Pentacles in the reverse. The everyday investments we just kind of, threw away. Whereas if it was a Four of Pentacles in the reverse, I would say, we're holding on to our account and then we finally, withdraw from it, all of it in total. The Six of Pentacles in the reverse, I couldn't care less. The shop is in disarray. I'm not doing this. I'm just clocking in at this job, right? It's not really A, as much of an everyday investment, but B, we don't show nearly the amount of care or effort that's necessary to maintain it. That's when we have started to get the feeling within ourselves that the investment is not worth it, and our behavior, it matches. It very much matches. The Six of Wands in the reverse. Whereas one represented the efforts of valor and victory, in the reverse, doesn't mean that you didn't put in that amount of effort. Is that, wow, nobody seems to appreciate all the work that I did. I don't feel wanted here. I don't feel appreciated. I don't feel that people have gotten the point. They've just kind of, gotten the goods. It's not the funnest experience to know all the efforts that you put in and that you kind of like suffered in silence, but it doesn't change the fact of what you did. Right? You could have done the best execution and still come to that conclusion of a person not being valued. And now we have the Six of Swords in the reverse. Whereas, that's upright. Whereas in the upright, that represents forward movement, right? We embarked on that path, rowing our boat. In the reverse, we're stuck in the middle of the ocean, up the creek without a paddle. With the Six of Swords in the reverse, hey, we're in the middle of our journey, almost like the Chariot in the reverse. But here, what am I doing? Why did I do this? Why am I at a stop right now? Right? It's not that you don't have the ability to move. It's that what was such intended energy to move on from, we feel like we made a mistake. And it's not that you can't move, because again, you're stuck in the middle of the ocean. You still got to row your boat. You still got to move the water. But we're really forced to sit with our decision of how and why we moved, right? That contemplative phase, not necessarily the execution phase. In the reverse, for the majors, the Wheel of Fortune in the reverse, same amount of time, no better off for it, right? If the Wheel of Fortune was supposed to represent the will of the self and how it enacts upon time, then that in the reverse, nothing changes no matter how much time or things that we put into it. And maybe that's a situation that you can or can't control. And the version that you can't, hey, everything has been shown to you why you need to move forward. Why are you not? In the versions that you can, maybe your approach was wrong, not necessarily your intent. Again, time may wait for no man, but time only values, time only holds value in the way that we put into it, right? It's an even exchange. And so the Wheel of Fortune in the reverse, hey, maybe you had a dream, maybe you had an aspiration you were aiming towards. How do we do it right this time? How do we do that right? Now, Justice in reverse, card of Libra. Scales are totally imbalanced, right? There is no possibility of equity. We can't find a middle ground. It just is what it is. The efforts have been weighed out, and no matter how we slice the dice or roll it, one side very heavily outweighs the other. There is no balance to be had. And sometimes we get into situations like that where we cannot change our circumstance. We cannot change how things played out. We just have to accept them as it is. Otherwise, it would not weigh in that favor. Put it all sideways. And this is probably where I'm going to end the video. All in all, when it comes to the sixes, now looking across, Six of Cups, truly, what is the purpose of that relationship? What makes it unique? What makes it, irrevocable from your life's pathway. The Six of Pentacles, truly, how do we invest and invest properly? The Six of Wands, what is the purpose behind what we do? And when we get to that finish line, how do we bask in that glory? And the Six of Swords, what is motion? What does it mean to be in movement? What does that mean in the grandiose scheme of things? The Wheel of Fortune, when time impacts us, because trust us, trust the process and it will pay back in dividends. How much can we trust? How much can we trust? If we trust the process, how do we do it right? And how do we gain all opportunity from it? And justice, the true element of that, hey, when things are weighed out, what is the value of your weights? So that's what I see from all the cards on the table today. Again, this is the Learn With Me series, and if this was a little bit long-winded, it's because I'm coming back from a lot of things that have happened, but trust me, I myself am getting back into it. I want that Six of Wands, and I want that Six of Pentacles, because I'm trying to do what, I set out to do with both this channel and this series, with the purpose here being, hey, these are one part of many stories. So when we learn the cards, when we learn the stars, when we learn everything around us, may have your tarot journey be bright, but also informative. Thank you for coming to the table today. I hope this helped out card players. And yeah, take this knowledge with you, and I hope the cards treat you well as you learn back from them. See you around, okay? Take care.